Hey everyone, today I want to talk to you about how to um, weave two images together for your reference for the final project. So I have a few items here set up, and I've already gone ahead and gridded a few things just to speed things along, but I'm going to illustrate some of what we're going to be doing in order to combine two images. One of your reference images of the two should be a self-portrait. So I'm going to imagine that this is a self-portrait, and then this is your other chosen image. And this one I've already gridded out with 1x1 squares. Before you do any gridding on the reference images, what I would suggest is start with your sketchbook. This is your the table where the puzzle pieces come together. So what you need to do is have a ruler. I've got my ruler here that has inches, and you want to measure out 9x12. Make sure that your sketchbook is 9x12. If it is not, you can simply use your larger 18x24 drawing pad. But just make sure that you measure out 9x12. And you can start by drawing the 9-inch line here, and then just make a couple of tick marks, one little mark for each inch. And I marked that on this side, and I marked it on the far side, and then I just connected those marks to make sure my lines are straight. And then I also went across the other direction and marked 1 inch that way, so that'll be 12 marks here, and then you can mark it there as well and connect. So what I've got here is a 1x1 inch grid all the way across my 9x12 drawing pad. Now, in order for the pieces to fit nicely on this surface, what I want to make sure and do is have exactly 1x1 squares across both of these. So this first image I've already done, but I will illustrate what I would do on the other one just to give you a walkthrough demo. So first, you want to look at your borders, because there may be some a little gap of negative space that we don't necessarily need. And we want to make sure that all of our squares are fitting within that 1x1 inch box. So on this image, I have close to 7 inches. It's a little bit longer in this direction than 7 inches. And I've decided I'm just going to mark at 7. The border for the image there, and so I've already marked it. I can draw that line straight across. And then I have the other direction, so I'm going to use this edge of the photo and that line, and then I want to figure out the width here, and the closest full inch that I am getting here is 10 inches. So I'm going to draw a line across the 10-inch mark here, and that way I have a framework that I'm working within. So these extra slivers all the way around will be cut off. Depending on your image, you may have different borders, you may have different gaps around the image, so just try and round it up or down to the closest full inch. And the best way to mark this is across the top and the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and find the top here, make sure I have my 10 in the right spot, and I'm going to mark where 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 are. And then I'll mark it down here too, and then I can connect my lines across. Good. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so now I can go ahead and draw my line across. I'm going to use a very fine pencil here. Your mechanical pencil is a very fine line so that I'm not interrupting the reference image too much. Just connecting those marked points all the way across. And you want to determine if your images on this space when they come together, whether they're going to be a vertical or a horizontal orientation for the page. If you have two horizontals, it makes sense to just stick with horizontal. But if you have one of each, or you want to do something different with the direction of the page, in that case, then I would just check this one here. In that case, then, just be intentional with the direction. So I'll show you what I mean in just a minute. The other direction now, I'm going to mark across. So I had 7 inches, if you remember. So I'm going to just mark those 7 inches across this way. And on the other side as well. Then I can connect just like the other direction, and I should have 1 by 1 squares all the way across. Now when you go to choosing which boxes from each image you're going to include, it's important to think about your concept and consider which image or which parts of your images are going to be coming through the most. So I would take a look at this one and say obviously the face is more important than the background space here. So you might want to start with that area and then move into the other spaces if you're not sure what to do. So it's okay to be a little free form here. You could go through and systematically cut everything. Or you could just start with a few key areas that you know you want to be your focus. So I'm just going to go in and cut the eyes out because I think that'll be an important part of this. And then I have my glue stick out, but I'm not going to start gluing right away, and I would like you all to do the same. Just be open to moving and changing things around at the start. So here I'm going to place my eyes in the center. Some of the compositional elements, it might be a good idea to keep roughly the same position. Just so that you do have some connections and it's not completely random. And I'm starting just with the self-portrait aspect. You might decide to begin right away with the other image as well. I'm going to go ahead and cut into this one. You won't be able to fit all pieces from both images, so that is something to keep in mind, that you're going to have to edit some aspects out and decide which things to keep. But I do want you to cover the entire 9 by 12 surface with squares, so don't leave any negative space. So if you do want to have some sections that are, you know, an area of rest or some place where it's not having too much detail, that's fine, but just plan it out using these squares all the way across. So I am choosing to begin with just 2 by 2. You can do 1 by 1, you know, just one square at a time. It's not necessary to do, you know, all individual squares, but I also don't want to see just most of the image the same or completely intact. Just, you know, a large area cut out and placed on the page. So I'm going to just bring the camera a little closer here. You can start to see I'm mixing and matching my two images to get a bit more contrast between the values that are coming through, and also have a bit of a relationship between the two images, still having some connection between the elements of the same reference coming through, and then other parts where I can reconsider the connection. Alright, so if I were to just cut one more of these, this will take you some time, and like I said, please don't just immediately go to gluing things right away, but if I were to glue, you know, do first position everything, and then here is how this small section might look once I've decided on that relationship. I'll just go across, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can just glue my page and then place my pieces on it. Makes it faster. And in the interest of time, rather than filling this entire page, I'm going to leave it at that and move on to how you want to begin to transfer this once the entire page has your woven two portraits interspersed evenly. 50-50% is ideal. If it's not exactly all the way through 50%, it's fine if there's some congestion in some areas, and then other places where it's less congested. So from here, what I want to do is begin enlarging my reference onto the 18 by 24 inch page. So this is the final drawing, and what I've already done here is the same number of boxes are across here if you just take your ruler and measure out 2 inches in both directions all the way across. So I've got 18 inches across, just marking 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, 14, 16, and then the 18, and the opposite direction, same idea. So instead of 1 by 1 inch, which is what we have on the sketchbook here, we're doing 2 by 2, and then because it's the same number of squares, you want to make sure that you are beginning wherever you transfer in the same box. So here I've got my page set up as a vertical, and my orientation of this is we want it to be horizontal here. So I'm going to adjust that and look at the placement here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and it's down 1. So if I were to begin drawing here, I can start with the top of the head, getting my placement there, doing that arc, and then we've got the hairline. So this is just like any other image that we've transferred before. We've already done this, so you should know how to transfer, but the image is not one straight image all the way across, so it is going to be important to look at your sections, compare the placement, and start light. Start with a graphite pencil and just block everything out, and then once the line drawing is in, you're going to start thinking about your values, develop using blending tools, and also consider that this needs to be mixed media. So mixed media could be just graphite pencil and charcoal. It could be using colored pencils, micron pen, any various combination of things. If you are considering color, I would suggest print the reference images, one or both, in color. You don't have to if you are more comfortable sticking with the black and white. I'm totally fine with that, and just be looking at the values in that case. So from here, you'll just continue to block out your squares. Of course, you want to have the full reference to look at, and begin here with the values after you've got that whole image enlarged from your reference. All right, good luck.